So much of our lives now runs on digital, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Connecting with people, yeah, but also accessing really vital services.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're digging into today.
We are. We're looking at the Digitalization in Europe 2025 edition report from Eurostat.
It gives a pretty broad picture.
Yeah, think of this as our shortcut to understanding how digital change is actually shaping the services available to you as a citizen right across Europe.
We've got tons of data here.
Yeah.
Individual internet use, businesses adopting tech.
And, crucially for us today, how easy it is to get government services online.
Exactly.
Ever wonder how your own online habits compare? Or, how digitally advanced the public services in your country really are?
Well, let's find out.
Okay, so first off, the sheer number of people online is huge.
It really is. Over 90% of EU citizens use the internet weekly in 2023. That paints a picture of a very connected continent.
It does. But here's where it gets interesting, I think. While almost everyone's online, only about 56% have what they call basic or above basic digital skills.
That's a big gap, isn't it?
Huge. Could it be that lots of people are online, but maybe just for like messaging or simple searches?
That's exactly the question this raises. It really shows that just having access doesn't mean you can fully engage, especially with online services.
Right. Services can be complex.
Exactly. And the EU knows this. They've set a target 80% with basic skills by 2030. So they recognize this gap needs closing if everyone's going to benefit from, digital public services.
But it varies a lot by country too, right?
Oh, massively. You've got the Netherlands and Finland. They're really leading the pack. Over 80% of their people have these skills.
Wow.
But then, you see other countries where that number is much, much lower.
What do you think causes such a big difference? Education? Infrastructure?
It's likely a mix of things, yeah. Education systems, definitely infrastructure, maybe specific government programs pushing digital literacy. But what's really key for our focus on services today is that, 44% of EU citizens lack even basic digital skills.
44%.
Yeah, and that directly impacts their ability to use online public services. It can be a real barrier to access.
That really puts the service aspect into sharp focus, doesn't it? If almost half the population struggles with basic digital stuff, how well can these online government services actually reach everyone?
Precisely. It's a critical question.
Okay, so let's zoom in then on e-government itself. How are people actually using these public authority websites?
Well, the report found that in 2024, 47%, so nearly half of EU internet users, got information from public authority websites.
Okay, what kind of information?
Things like details about services, benefits, maybe looking up laws or regulations. It really shows how these online platforms are becoming central to, public service delivery.
And you can immediately see the convenience for citizens, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting that info whenever you need it, wherever you are. It could make dealing with government much less hassle.
Definitely. It points towards more efficiency, more accessibility in public administration, but
There's a but.
there's a but. Just like the digital skills gap, usage varies wildly across Europe. Denmark, Finland, Cyprus, they have really high engagement. Around 75% or even more of their internet users are accessing public info online.
75% versus the average of 47%.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
It really is.
So what are those leading countries doing right? Better websites? More awareness campaigns? Is it trust?
Probably a bit of everything. User-friendly design, making sure the information is actually there and easy to find, and maybe, a higher level of trust in those online public services.
Interesting.
The age breakdown is also worth noting. The 25 to 64 group uses these sites the most.
Makes sense. Work, family, taxes.
Exactly. All those life stages. Which does raise a point about how well these online services are serving all age groups, older and younger too.
So, okay, nearly half of internet users are looking for info online. What's the next step for e-government to serve citizens better?
Well, improving the user experience is key. And expanding the types of services you can actually do online, not just read about. So more transactions.
Like submitting forms, making payments.
Exactly. But crucially, they also need to tackle that digital skills gap we talked about. Otherwise, these improvements only help those who are already comfortable online.
Good point. It's not just about public services, though. People are doing all sorts of things online.
Oh, for sure. The report shows that beyond government sites, communication is still Massive. Email, messaging, over 85% use those.
And just looking up information generally.
Still huge, 81%.
And what about things like banking? That feels like it's exploded.
It really has. Online banking went from 56% back in 2014 up to 72% in 2024.
Wow. That shows a big increase in trust, doesn't it? Managing money online.
Exactly. It's a major shift in how people handle their finances day to day. Digital services are really embedded there now.
And shopping.
Also very popular, 77% of EU internet users are buying things online.
Mostly clothes, shoes, accessories, the report says.
That's the top category, yeah. About 70% of online shoppers bought those.
But it's not always smooth sailing, is it? The report mentions problems.
That's right. About a third, 33% of online shoppers ran into issues.
A third. That seems high. What kind of problems?
Things like late deliveries or deliveries not arriving at all, websites being difficult to use, getting the wrong thing, or damaged goods.
Yeah, that definitely impacts the whole service experience. Ruins the convenience.
It absolutely does. And it can damage consumer trust. The report even breaks down which countries have the highest and lowest rates of these problems.
Ah, interesting. So it gives clues about where consumer protection or maybe delivery logistics need improving.
Exactly. It shows the digital service isn't just the click to buy, it's the whole journey right through to getting the item and sorting out any problems.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly.
Yeah.
Internet of Things, IoT. Sounds a bit futuristic, but it's here now, isn't it? In our homes.
It really is, and maybe faster than people realize. The report shows 76% of EU internet users were using internet-connected devices in 2024.
76%. That's surprisingly high. What counts as an IoT device here?
Well, these are devices connected to your home network, usually Wi-Fi, that you can often control remotely or automate. Think smart speakers, smart TVs.
Right, home entertainment stuff.
Yeah, smart home entertainment is the biggest category. 67% of those using IoT have those.
Okay, what else?
Then you have wearables, smartwatches, fitness trackers, that's about 32%. And then smaller but growing numbers for things like smart thermostats or meters, smart lights.
Smart plugs, appliances.
Right, smart appliances are at 14%, home security systems at 13%.
And again, I bet there's variation across countries.
You bet. Ireland and the Netherlands seem to be adopting IoT tech the fastest.
Why do you think that is? Better broadband, more tech-savvy consumers.
Could be a mix of factors again. Good infrastructure helps, definitely. Consumer interest in new gadgets, maybe more services available that use those devices. But it really shows this trend towards, wanting more connected, automated homes for convenience, maybe energy saving, security.
It's definitely changing how we interact with our living spaces. Okay, finally, the report touches on something important but often overlooked. E-waste. What do we do with our old gadgets?
Yeah, this is a really critical point, especially from an environmental perspective. We buy so much tech. What happens when it breaks or we upgrade?
Are we recycling it? Selling it? Shoving it in a drawer?
The report looks at old desktops, laptops, tablets, and mobilist smartphones, and honestly, it's a mixed bag.
Oh.
Well, take old desktop computers. Only 15% got recycled, 9% were given away or sold, but nearly 20% just kept.
Kept, just sitting there.
Apparently. And for laptops and tablets, even more were kept, 34%. Only 11% recycled.
Wow. And phones. I bet loads of people have old phones in drawers.
You'd be right. 51%, over half, were kept at home. Only 11% recycled, though 18% were given away or sold.
So recycling rates are pretty low across the board, especially for phones and laptops.
They are, although the report does highlight some countries doing better. The Netherlands seems better for desktops, Greece for laptops and mobiles, for example. It suggests some places have better systems or maybe more public awareness.
It really shows that while we love getting new digital services and devices, dealing with the old ones responsibly, well, it isn't always top of mind for many people.
Exactly. Keeping old tech might seem harmless, but it adds up. It's resources locked away, potential pollutants. It's a growing environmental issue.
Definitely. As digital stuff becomes even more central, we need to get better at that end-of-life part.
Absolutely. More sustainable practices are essential.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. This deep dive into the Eurostat report paints a picture of a Europe that's heavily digital, right?
Very much so. High internet use, people using it for all sorts of things, services, communication, shopping.
But with this big caveat around digital skills, that gap between access and ability could really affect how well online services, especially public ones, actually work for everyone.
That's a key takeaway. And we saw e-government use is growing, but it's uneven. And there's clearly room to make it better, more user-friendly across the continent.
And people are doing loads online beyond government stuff. Banking, shopping, connecting devices in their homes with IoT.
Which is becoming surprisingly common.
Yeah. And finally, that challenge of what to do with our old tech, the recycling numbers aren't great.
Mm-hmm. And underlying all of this is that relationship between digital services and the citizen experience. It's not just about rolling out tech.
It's about how well it actually serves people,
Yeah,
all people.
exactly. Does it meet their needs? Can they actually use it effectively?
It really makes you think about what's next, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As tech keeps racing ahead, how do we make sure these digital services, public and private, are built so they're genuinely easy to use, genuinely helpful, and actually empower everyone?
Regardless of their digital skill level or where they live.
Yeah.
That's the big question, isn't it? It means really focusing on digital inclusion, designing things with the user in mind from the start, and critically, continuing to boost those digital skills across the population.
So everyone can actually participate fully.
Right.
Definitely something for all of us to think about as we use these services every day. Maybe, take a moment next time you're paying a bill online or looking up train times. How easy was it? Did it feel designed for you? It's all part of this massive digital shift we're navigating.